Welcome back to Big Red Rant, everybody. So, as we're trying to diagnose exactly what went wrong during that 24-6 beatdown administered by the hands of Minnesota, one of the things that you cannot deny as a problem is the offensive line. It's absolutely horrendous. Gary, it might be getting worse. Dylan was sacked 9 times in that game, and he gets sacked quite often. I do not want to come across as blaming all of the sacks on the offensive line. We've seen it in other games, and in this Minnesota game, it was obvious. There were times where he was holding the ball so long in the pocket that it was unreasonable, and sacks happened from that. Couple of questions that I wanted to run past you on this. Speaking of DONOVAN Raiola specifically, how much blame do you think can be put on him for the terrible failures this year to keep the quarterback upright? And during a lot of games, there's not many running lanes available for Emmett. He's having to make chicken salad constantly. Or is it as simple as the fact that we just haven't had much recruiting success at the offensive line position? The other question would be, is there a way to move on from Donovan, if you think we should, without pissing off Dayton and Dylan and losing them as recruits? Or is that something that we should even be worried about?
To answer your first question on how much blame, I mean, basically all of it. I mean, that's your unit that is this game specifically single-handedly stalling the offense. And I've said, and I stand by, I don't think that the line's been as bad all year as people have said. I think we fall into this deal where you either look at a box score of how many sacks or you see a point in a game where the pocket's collapsing on Raiola or he can't get out of the pocket quick enough. And it's like, well, the line sucks. Sometimes they're overloaded. Sometimes the plays are to where, again, receivers aren't getting open or they're taking too long to develop. And Raiola has to try to take off and go. He's not very quick. He does a decent job extending the plays a lot of the times, but his awareness outside of the pocket, I feel like he thinks, okay, that guy that was coming at me isn't getting me now, so I'm safe. And he's arms reach away from a guy that he doesn't have the quickness to just sidestep real quick. So those things definitely need to be factored in. But if your coordinator isn't going to go to a quicker passing game or do different things to counter the blitzes, you need to figure out how you're going to approach things to where you have a guy that doesn't get beat multiple times against Minnesota, but basically just backpedals into Raiola to where the guy that he's blocking is within arm's reach. He can reach around him or just lean around him. And now you got to hold him or you're giving up the sack. Not to mention just the pocket collapsing on a quarterback alone is going to get them off their game. Do I need to run? Do I have a little time? Do I step up? A lot of times there isn't a lane to step up. To your point in the running game, there's times you look at some of the bigger runs that Emmett has and holes are wide open. And it's like, okay, they can do it, right? But then there's times where he should get hit for a loss and he gets 3 or 4, or there should be nothing there. He dances around enough and gets loose and turns it into a big gain. And it's like, if you could establish that run with that type of a running back, that alone is going to free you up. They're not going to be blitzing as hard. This game, especially, they were able to get back into what teams were doing last year. And it's like, just blitz the shit out of Raiola. We'll stop the run on the way to him. Because I feel like there's a lot of times, especially in the run game, these guys are blocking their guy. Like the defender's not coming scot-free through the line, but they're not moving. To answer your question with the Donovan Raiola issue, I know obviously everybody's pissed off at him and whatnot, and for a good reason, a lot of it. But there's more to it than that. But to answer your question, yes, the coordinator or the position coach needs to take the responsibility for what's going on. My biggest issue at this point with Donovan Raiola, and you can go back and look at tons of videos, personally from us going back and forth. I've been big on the offensive line is the hardest and takes the longest to develop. So of anybody, that dude needs the most leniency or time to see if he's good or not. I'm not saying that from a stance of this guy's so good, you don't understand what we have. I'm just saying until you know, is he trash or not? At this point, when you talk about the recruits, we got the best lineman out of Iowa that came last year. We've had other not crazy like 5-star type guys, but higher rated people that the staff seem excited about when they got them. And it's like, okay, for sure they're going to need a year, probably to redshirt and develop, learn the system. It's a really complex position. I don't understand how we're 3 years into the rule era. Raiola's been here since Frost was still here, and we're still having to rotate guys that have been here that long. So in that time, while I think across the board it's gradually gotten better, didn't look like it this game at all. It drastically regressed this last game. But your best players are like transfer portal guys. So it's like what exactly are you recruiting and developing, or how are you developing these guys to where Spindler goes out with a hand, Pritchett gets ejected, and you've got to recycle these guys we've seen for the last 7, 8 years that were part of those horrendous lines. Not to single anybody out or shit talk anybody directly, but it's like the whole thing is you got to develop, you got to recruit and develop these guys to get in and get every position better. And how many recruiting classes have gone by since Donovan's been here? You know, who's the new face on the offensive line that's stepping up and doing things? Like Latovsky took a while to develop, but he's been here a long time. He's been solid. You go across the board, Spindler's new, Pritchett's new. Gatua looked like, okay, here's a guy that they recruited, developed, and got out. And it seems like the more he plays, the more he kind of gets exposed. You keep trying to go back to Corcoran when he's healthy. You tried rolling with Prohaska for a while. Like, when are you going to see Grant Bricks? Is he ever going to be ready? When are you going to see Sam Sledge or any of these other guys that we heard about at the time when they're recruiting them? And I'm not saying those guys were studs, they should be in there. I don't have a clue. But I mean, they are recruiting offensive linemen. They are supposed to be developing these guys. They are taking red shirts and some of them extra years to get ready, and we don't see them. I'm guessing that's because they're not ready. That's a problem. That's where I would look at the person in charge of that position, that development, and there has to be some accountability. And as far as the backlash or the repercussions, if he leaves, does Dylan transfer out? I mean, at that point, it doesn't matter, because if you can't protect the dude and he can't run, I'm not one of these put Latif in. I think Raiola is a better passer than Latif, or Latif would be playing. He's obviously more athletic. So then, yeah, if this is what you're going to continue to have for offensive line play, and your coordinator is like, no, we'll run screens, get the ball out quick, but other than that, I've got these plays going on, or I want the quarterback to hold on to the ball, or whatever the deal is going on. Put in a running quarterback, put Harbury back there for all I care. Somebody that once that pocket breaks down, which it's inevitably going to do, you at least have the threat or the option of taking off running. Because right now, you can't utilize Dylan Raiola to his full potential when you have the protection issues you have, regardless of who's responsible for him.
We are midway through the college football season, and Gary and I have been racking up money using Profit X. It's America's #1 sports prediction market, where you too can win real money predicting sports outcomes in 40 plus states. And yes, that includes Nebraska. We use it because you get better odds than traditional sports books, because you're not playing against the house. You're playing against actual other people. Also, you can request your own odds, play with confidence, and get super quick payouts straight to your bank, card, or even crypto. Sign up at profitx.co or download the app and use the promo code RANT, and you'll get up to $200 in ProfitX cash on all your plays for the first 30 days. Sign up now and start winning real money predicting sports. So is there anything that you can conceive of, any way that we can fix this? Because something has to change, man. It can't keep going like this. It's been like this all year. I'm shocked we haven't lost more games with this offensive line. Somehow, whether it's Raiola's antics, rolling out and belly flopping on the ground and tossing it over a player as he does for a completed first down, switching hands and having to throw it with his left hand, whatever it is that's helping us get around this offensive line, it can't stay like this for the rest of the year when you're going to be playing better Big Ten teams than even Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the biggest thing you could do right now to try and help it is scheme accordingly. And I don't know what goes on. I would assume that there is, but if not, there needs to be conversations between Donovan Raiola and Dana Holgerson on, okay, what do you feel the most confident in your unit's abilities to do are? Is it zone running? Is it's not power running, but is it power running? Is it the screen game? Is it whatever? and start altering to that and giving Raiola options to get rid of the ball sooner. The more the run works, the more the quick game works, the less the pressure is going to be right in Raiola's face off the bat. Now you're just worrying about, edge rushers for the most part. As far as if what a lot of the talk and assumption was that Raiola's here because we wanted his nephew so bad. If you're worried about him leaving because you get rid of him, maybe you look at going the Satterfield route where you still have a spot for him on the team. He's just not in charge of the O line anymore. Offensive line isn't a position where you're gonna do like the special teams coordinator did. Like do things different with those guys. It's so much of its development. And we were talking about the redshirt year and stuff like that. Redshirt's not enough time for an offensive lineman to fully develop and go do their thing. The freaks, yeah, the the ones here and there in a lifetime talents are different. I'm not talking about them. But across the board, it's going to take seasons to bring in guys and develop them, or, to continue developing what's been started with some of these guys before you're going to see whether it was a good move or if it's the right move or whatever else. And I don't know if Raiola's upset with that and like, well, you basically tied my uncle's hands behind his back. I'm leaving. If that's the case, man, I'd hate to see it, but you got to do what you got to do. If you can't alter the way you run and set up your program as far as coaching and coordinators and things like that go based on one player. I don't care how good he is. I think he's the best player on the team. You and I are obviously big fans of him, think he's legit. A lot of people don't feel that way. That's fine. But I don't care how good you think a player is. You can't cater to him to that level because you're setting yourself up big picture for failure. And that's why I've always thought it's kind of bullshit that's why people were so adamant about. Maybe the original, that's a thing you take into consideration when you're hiring him is like, well, he made our final three and maybe we get a five-star quarterback if we get him. I get that. But I mean, the length of time he's been there and things like that. I'm not even saying you got to get rid of him. Maybe things are fine if the offenses ran a little different, or getting rid of one is the right move and it means maybe you lose the other one. Then you deal with that. You're going to lose him at some point, whether it's no more eligibility going to the draft. He leaves anyways because he's tired of getting beat and thinking, man, I could be at Ohio State or Georgia right now. You can't predict the future. You just have to do what you think is best for the long term fit on this team because you've had how long of a run already, and the most important position on your team is your weakest point. So something's got to give. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it is an actual coach change, but there's plenty of blame to go around and plenty of people that need to be looking into how this specific issue can be faced.